Leave the limbs you've lost. They belong to me now. So, if this is your first time to this channel and you love movies and martial arts, consider hitting that subscribe button. Also, hit that bell notification so you don't miss anything. Welcome to Fight Scene Friday, the show where we analyse the fight scenes from some of your favourite movies. My name's Aston Regis, and on today's show, we're going to be looking at the crazy fight scene between the bride and the crazy 88 from Kill Bill Volume 1. Man, this is Tarantino's best movie for me, along with Pulp Fiction. Favourite movie for me in terms of Tarantino's movies. Absolutely love it. Man, this was a great fight scene. It was so crazy. You got the crazy 88 and you got a crazy fight scene. What I love about this fight scene, number one, it was done by Yuen Woo-Ping, like the best in the business in terms of fight choreography, martial arts choreography. Number two, it paid homage to Bruce Lee. You've got obviously the bride, played by Uma Thurman, wearing the yellow jumpsuit that Bruce Lee wore in The Game of Death. Number three, I think it just pays homage to a lot of those old school kung fu, wushu, Shaw Brothers movies. In the music choices were perfect. There's different beats in the fight as well. From the start of the fight to the moment where she plucks out the guy's eye and then it turns black and white. I thought that was really artistically done well. I know there's another version that's a lot more bloody and it doesn't turn black and white and you see the full colour scheme of that fight. But I prefer the version, I actually prefer the theatrical version in the UK anyway, where that happens because it's kind of artistic, you know. You've got the moment she does that and it turns black and white. And then the moment she blinks her eyes, it comes back again to colour at another point in the fight. I thought that was really good. I think it added an interesting dynamic to the fight. It's very artistically done. I really prefer that version of the fight just because of the artistic way that it was done. Man, there's already been some amazing fights in this movie, and even in this scene leading up, she already killed the henchwoman Go-Go, is it? The girl from Battle Royale with the chain buzzsaw weapon. She already killed her, and that was crazy as well. And she's trying to get to Oren Ishii, one of the assassins that obviously killed her, or attempted to kill her when she was pregnant. So this is obviously the revenge mission. She's trying to get to Oren, but she has to get through her crazy 88, led by the legendary Gordon Liu of Shaw Brothers Entertainment. Man, he plays two roles in this movie saga. So obviously he's playing the leader of the crazy 88, and then he's also playing Pai Mei, who trains the bride in China in Volume 2. And yeah, I really loved him in this role. He comes on the scene, you see him, and it has that famous Shaw Brothers zoom into his face. He's like, yeah! And they're wearing the masks as well with their black suits. And they've all got katanas, they've all got the samurai swords, the katanas. None of them can match the bride's katana because it was made by Hattori Hanzo, the famous swordsman, famous Japanese swordsman. And she absolutely destroys them. Like, it's just so fun to watch because this fight is very bloody, it's very crazy. Obviously a lot of the guys lose limbs in this fight. There's a lot of kills, but there's a lot of limb losses, you know. People losing arms and legs and all sorts of things. But the fight had so many different kind of segments to it. You had the first segment, you got that famous Yuen Woo-Ping bird's eye view shot, you know, as she gets ready to wield her weapon, and then they kind of move back. And then the music starts. The music stops. Actually, you got the soundtrack by the RZA from Wu-Tang, and then the music stops and the fight starts. And then it gets to the point where she plucks the guy's eye out, and then it turns black and white. The music starts again. It's so well done. Like, there's so many levels. There's so many parts to this fight, and she's obviously taking on 88 opponents, which is very, very crazy. What I liked about this movie, again, it was in the renaissance of the Matrix. So a lot of Hollywood movies were bringing in all this kung fu action. A lot of movies were hiring Yuen Woo-Ping to do the action, and Yuen Woo-Ping did the action for the Matrix. So obviously Tarantino's been a fan of Yuen Woo-Ping for many years because Tarantino knows his martial arts movies, and he brought him in to do the action here. So the authenticity of using someone like Yuen Woo-Ping, he knows how to use action. He knows how to use action for the story. Now, Kill Bill is a fantasy kind of environment, a fantasy kind of world, but at the same time, it's got that kind of visceral violence that Tarantino's known for, because his films are they're very hyper real, but at the same time they've got that realistic kind of unsettling violence in them, because like he said, he's not interested in doing violent movies, he's interested in doing movies about violent human beings and the psychology behind them, and he does it in a very over the top way. So it's a very cartoonish over the top way, you know. These are obviously caricatures of these people, so it's not you're watching a really serious drama, you're watching this really entertaining, crazy martial arts action, but you're also looking at the psychology of these assassins, because the bride is an assassin, or Ishin is an assassin, obviously Bill's an assassin. It's a culture of assassins, so we're looking at the way they think, the way they live, the way they carry themselves, as well as the way that they fight. So obviously this is a hyper real world, so we get a lot of the wire fu involved. You got a lot of that Shaw Brothers old school action with the music as well, the famous kind of Shaw Brothers music in there. She uses double katanas at one point in the fight. She takes one from Gordon Liu's character, and then she just devours fools with him. There's a moment where in the fight where they go upstairs and one of the ladies in the scene, she turns off the light, and then the lights go off, and then there's like a blue light background, and then it forms like a silhouette, you know, because obviously they're fighting in the Japanese restaurant, so you got those Japanese sliding doors that reflect light from the sliding doors. So you're seeing this blue light effect, and it's creating this sun silhouette, and then you see the bride take on about 8 or 9 other of the henchmen that are left. She takes them all on within the silhouette, so it creates that kind of, again, that old school martial art kind of effect, but it was done accidentally. And I like the fact that this camera obviously shows why it was done. So it was like she turns the light off and then we get that effect kind of thing, and then she turns the light back on at the moment where she's going to kill the boy because he's the last one left, and she's just knocking his sword back and saying, "Go home to your mum" at the end. I thought that was really intelligent filmmaking. It was really, there was a lot of comedy within the fight scene, but then there's a lot of horror as well, because you see all these limbs at the end, and at the end she's like, "All you who've lost your limbs, all you guys who still have your lives, you're free to go, but if you've lost your limbs, leave them here because they belong to me now." So I thought it was very hyper real fight, very well choreographed. I thought Uma Thurman did a great job. She obviously trained very hard for this. Some great stunt work in here. You've got Gordon Liu, who's a classic Shaw Brothers star. You know, one of my favorites for Gordon Liu, if you haven't seen any of his films, check out 8 Diagram of Pole Fighter. For me, that's the best Gordon Liu movie. He also starred in 36 Chambers Shaolin. That's another really good Shaw Brothers movie. And he actually starred in a lot of movies that featured the character Pai Mei, who he plays in Kill Bill Volume 2. His character actually had to fight against Pai Mei, this Pai Mei character, in a lot of his movies and the Shaw Brothers movies. So they kind of paid homage to that as well. So what I love about this fight scene is it really pays homage to the old school Kung Fu, samurai movies, particularly the Shaw Brothers Kung Fu movies. I really felt it paid really good homage to that, as well as obviously being the Japanese Yakuza and the samurai old school kind of feel to the movie that this volume had. But yeah, I love the fight scene, I love the movie. I remember after this fight scene, I was breathtaking. I mean, the movie was already breathtaking from like the opening, but this fight scene, I was just like, I can't wait to see this movie again after I'd seen this, after this scene had ended. Like, I was just like, I was blown away. I could not wait to see the movie again, and I was sitting in the theatre, you know, watching the movie. And there's very few movies where I've had that experience where I'm just like so entertained by what I'm watching that I'm like waiting to watch it again. You know, this was one of them. This was definitely one of those movies. And it was such a great experience watching it in the cinema with an audience again like that. I was just breathtaking by what they'd seen, you know, laughing and oohing and ahhing at the things that were happening. So definitely worth checking out Kill Bill Volume 1. I know you've seen that. I know if you're watching this that you've seen Kill Bill Volume 1 many times. But if you haven't, I'll leave a link in the description below where you can check the movie out if you're interested. And yeah, brilliant fight scene. Definitely worth being on this list. Anyway, if you like this video, hit that like button, share, subscribe, and comment down below. Let me know what you thought of this fight scene. Where do you think it ranks in terms of Hollywood fight scenes? Do you think Kill Bill Volume 1 was Tarantino's best movie, as I do? It's kind of joint with Pulp Fiction for me, but I like it a little bit more because obviously I'm a martial arts film fan, so I like it a tiny bit more than Pulp Fiction, but they're both up there in terms of Tarantino's movies. But I'd love to know your thoughts. Comment down below, let me know what you thought of this fight scene. Anyway, I'll see you next week for another Fight Scene Friday, and remember, behind every fight is a great story. Peace!